Hello and welcome to AM Language. This is the last lesson today. This is the 4 o'clock lesson. So I'm just going to share this with a few more people so more people can join us. Okay, and got 2 people already. That's good. Okay, and that is now shared. So, welcome to today's program, everyone. And thank you for joining, wherever you may be, wherever you are. Sandra says hello. Hello again, Sandra. Oksana says hi. Hi, Sandra. Thank you very much for joining. With regards to the lesson today, the title is "How do you know each other?" And in this, in this lesson, we're also going to talk about how we can express a regret using wish. Marcella, hello, good afternoon. Irina, hello, good afternoon. I haven't forgotten, but we also still need to look at used to, would, and the past. Did we look at that? I think we looked at it briefly yesterday. That was it. Hello, Irina. Hello, Yorga, and hello, Joaquin. Nice to see all of you here. What we'll do is we'll just go over and we'll have a little look at what we did yesterday, just to remind ourselves. Yiseth, hello as well. Hello, Yiseth. Thank you very much for joining. So let's have a little look at what we just finished off doing yesterday so we can just remind ourselves. Yesterday, hello, Nadia. Thank you very much for joining. So yesterday, just to remind ourselves, we were using used to, would, and the past simple. Hello, Katarina. Hello, Rosa. Thank you very much for joining. That's lovely to see so many people here already. So one of the things that we need to look at when we are using this term used to, would, and the past, just to remind ourselves, if we're talking about a past habit, this is where we can use used to. So as a child, I forgot. Here we go. As a child, I used to enjoy climbing trees, for example. Now, just to remind everyone, if we're using used to in this context, we are talking about a past habit. Something that we did as a child, but we no longer do in the present, for example. If we want to talk a little bit more about the past, we'd say, as a child, I used to like climbing trees. Then we could say, I'd, short for I would, because we use I would again to talk about the past. I would, I'd often climb the biggest tree in the garden, for example. Okay, so now we're talking about something that happened regularly in the past. So this is what we would use by would. I'd often climb the biggest tree in the garden. I remember, for instance, I'd often play football in the garden. I'd often play Nintendo 64. So this is what would usually happen in the past. And then if we want to use the negative, we would use wasn't, for example. So using this thing as an example, as a child, I would, as a child, I used to climb climb trees. Then I can say, for example, I could use it even in a conditional, for instance. If it wasn't too wet, I'd climb the biggest tree. So here I'm using a negative to say to give more context, and we can use it like this. Marcella, I used to spend my holidays with my grandparents. Excellent. Yeah, that's a really good example. And that is what you guys need to know how to do. It's simply to talk about a past action, and a past action that used to be a routine. So this is, we're using this language to used to here, we're using it to talk about a past routine. We're using would or I would, for example, but we're using would to talk about what normally, well, what was normal actually. What would normally happen. And we use a wasn't if we're in the past in the negative form, if we're talking about the state of something, which is in this case is going to be the negative form of used to as well. I think there's a few ways of using it as well. Okay, so that is all we had to, this is all we have to do. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and what I would like you guys to do is try and answer, basically. So my question to you guys is this: how would you usually spend your summer holidays as a child? Okay, now I'm going to give you my answer, and then I'd like you guys to give your answer in the live chat comment here. So as a child, I used to go on holiday with my parents. We would, we'd say, we'd often go to see my grandparents. Would often go and see my grandparents, for example. It wasn't always the case that we could see them, but we tried. So that would be my example of talking about to answer that question. So how would you, I've just realized I forgot the question mark in that question. So this is the question, guys. So let me know in the live chat section. Let me write that again. So let me know in the live chat section, and then we'll move on. I keep on forgetting the question mark. And let me know in the live chat section what your answer would be to this question. How would you usually spend your summer holidays as a child? So feel free to look at my example. So Irina, as a child, I used to go to a summer camp by the sea. That's a really good answer. And what would you do, Irina? Or what would you usually do at this summer camp? What would you usually do? Was this an educational camp? Was it a sporting camp? Yeah, what would you usually do? Let me know. Okay, I'll give it a few more. I'll give it a few more minutes, and then we'll move on to today's lesson. Just to remind you guys, while I wait for you guys to put in your answers in the live chat section, tomorrow it is a public holiday, but I will still be giving lessons on YouTube. And in the morning at 10 o'clock, there's the upper intermediate. And then there'll be 2 other lessons later on in the day. There'll be a speaking lesson for job interviews in English at 2 o'clock, and there'll be email writing at 4 o'clock as well. And that's all tomorrow. Please also, for those of you who are here who would otherwise have lessons, please check your emails because you will be receiving email either later today or tomorrow about your lessons, your Zoom lessons. Okay. So if no one else would like to go, let's see if one more person can have a go at answering the question. Don't forget, the question is, how would you usually spend your summer holidays as a child? So Jorge has said, I'd often go to the beach. I used to spend my time with my parents and sisters. Okay, Jorge, that's an excellent answer. Well done. Nadia, as a child, I used to spend my holidays with my family. We'd go to the most beautiful beach near my city. Excellent. Well done again, Nadia. Okay, excellent. I'm happy with that. So I think it's safe to say that we have. Um, I get the impression that we have understood. Some of us have understood this section of what we need to try and do using used to talk about a past routine and what you would usually do. Excellent. Out of curiosity, the negative as well. There's one way of using it. I didn't used to. I didn't used to enjoy going to theme parks, for example. So if we want to use the negative, we can use this. I didn't used to, because it's the didn't. We drop the D in used. So I didn't used to enjoy going to theme parks. That's what you can say if you want to use the negative of something you didn't like doing. Rosa, so Irina says, in the summer camp, we would, don't forget, modal verb plus your normal verb, your verb in the present simple form. So in your case, would swim, Irina. So Irina, we would swim in the sea, did simple concerts, and talked with other children. Yes, that's good. Rosa, as a child, I used to go on sport camp. I used to go on. Here, you would say go to sport camps. Rosa, to sport camps. We'd often go. We'd often go. Here, go hiking. Um, if you're going to use go plus a verb with the ing, you don't need to use to. So we would often go hiking, swimming, skiing. We don't need to say go to, we just say go. We'd often go hiking. It wasn't always because it wasn't always. I think here, Rosa, what I would say is it wasn't always possible because it was raining. It wasn't always possible because it wasn't always possible if actually turn it into a condition if it was or if it yeah if it was raining, for example. So you can say that, Rosa. Okay, so what you want to say is, as a child, I used to go to sport camps. We'd often go hiking. It wasn't always possible because it wasn't always possible if it was raining. So that's how you can improve your answer, Rosa. Oksana, as a child, I used to go to my grandparents' summer house. We'd often have a barbecue. That's a really good sentence. Well done. So then we have Marcella. Marcella, as a child, I used to go on a holiday to the countryside. I'd often have a barbecue with my relatives. Excellent. That's a really good sentence. So well done, everybody. Really good effort. Just remember, if you're going to go to plus noun, for example, or go plus verb ing, if it's something like go swimming, go, yeah, it's going to be go plus verb ing. I would, this is with this one, I would go swimming. I would go on a holiday. See the difference? One is with a verb, one is with a noun. If it's the noun, I would often go on holiday. I would go swimming. We'd only go to if it's going to be like a place, for instance. I would go to the countryside, okay? So it depends. If we're talking about a verb, an action, then it's go swimming. If it's a certain type of activity, like on holiday, for example, we don't need to again. But if it's movement, I would go to, then you need the place. So I'd go to the countryside. I'd go to Spain. I'd go to Malta. I'd go to Colombia, for example. So those are the structures you just need to remember when we're using would. And this goes for would go, okay, or might go, should go. The structures never change. So these are the sort of structures we just need to remember. If you want to have a go at writing your own example again, please do. I will move on to the next thing. But if you do post anything in the live chat section, I will stop to answer your question, okay, or your sentence. So, guys, if you have the intermediate book, I am now going to turn over to page 110, 1110. No, that would be 1000. 110 and 111. In this section, you talk about how do you know each other. But what I really want to talk about is the grammar. So I would make a special amount of time to get onto that grammar. Simply put, and this is the important thing that I want you guys to remember when you talk about how do you know each other, you need to make sure you use the correct type of language. If someone asks, well, how do you know each other? You need to be using the past tense structure. And this is when you would have an opportunity to try and explain how you know someone. And how you ended up becoming friends with someone, for example. So let me show you how all this language comes together. So, for instance, I have a friend named Paul, okay? And Paul lives in Manchester. He has a fantastic job. He designs computer games. Now, I have known Paul for a very long time. So the question might be, how do you know Paul, for example? How do you know Paul? Quite simply, this is how I would start off going. This is how I would start off answering the question. First of all, I would say, okay, I have known Paul for a long time. We first met, now in the past simple. We first met when we were just 2 years old. We used to play with each other, and we would often play football together. Okay. So this is how I would go about it. First of all, how do you know Paul? First of all, you want to give an idea of if your relationship with that person has been for a long time or a short time. To give this, we are going to use the present perfect. So I have known Paul for a long time. In fact, I have known my friend Paul since the age of 2. So I have known my friend Paul, for 30 years, for example. So that's how you start off. You start off with the present perfect because you are still living, you are still friends. And then you go into the past simple. And this is where you then get to use this language that we were using before. So you start off with a past simple. We first met when we were just 2 years old. And then you go into this sort of giving an idea of how your relationship started, like we used to play, or how your relationship was created. So we used to play with each other. We would often play football together, for example. Marcella has asked, Richard, is it okay to say I got to know very well each other because we worked very close? Okay, nearly, Marcella. You can say I got to know someone, okay, such as Paul, very well So I got to know Paul very well. Or you can say we. If you use each other, you need to use we, by the way. I'll give you an example. So I got to know Paul very well because we were childhood friends. If we're talking about each other, we goes with each other. Okay, that's an important one to remember. So we got to know each other. You could go with one another. We got to know one another or each other. Both would be fine. One another. Because we uh, used to work together, for example. So that is how you could use that term and that turn of phrase. We got to know each other, or I got to know someone. Just remember, if you're going to use with each other, here you need to use the pronoun we. And it's the same with one another. We got to know one another, we got to know each other, and we need the pronoun we to do that. This is then when you can say, for instance, we grew up. You grew up together. If it's a childhood friend, we met at work, for example, or we met at university. So I have another friend, for example. I have a friend named Sam. We met at university and we used to live together, for example. Here's an interesting one. We met through a friend. Okay, you can even say we met through a neutral friend. Okay, so here, if it's a neutral friend is when this friend were both of your friends. Okay, to give you an example, there are three people. There's John, Kate, and Tim. John is friends with Kate. Tim is friends with Kate. So because Kate knows both John and Tim, Kate is the neutral friend because she knows both people. So that's what we mean by a neutral friend. Sure, I spell neutral properly. So that's what we mean by a neutral friend. So John is friends with Kate. Tim is friends with Kate. Tim and John are not friends, but Kate is friends with both. So that is a neutral friend. Kate is a neutral friend. So we can then say, for instance, someone asks John, for example, how do you know Tim? Okay. And John would answer, we met through a neutral friend named Kate. That's what we mean by neutral friend. Okay, we met through a friend, we met at a party, ooh, and then you've got another one. It's a long story. It's a long story. This means you and the person have a lot of history together. So before we move on to the grammar, what I would like you guys to do is I would like you to give me an example, a little bit like my example earlier. So I gave an example of, here we go. I gave this example earlier. Okay, the question I put in my question, how do you know Paul? And then I gave my answer. Okay. All right. So what I would like you guys to do for me is this. I would like you to write a question, how do you know someone? And think of a person you know. And then I would like you to also give me your answer. So please look at the example I have just posted. How do you know Paul? I have known Paul for a long time. We first met when we were just 2 years old. We used to play with each other, and we would often play football together. So, Marcella, Richard, neutral friend is the same. That thought friend. That thought friend. That thought friend. What do you mean by that thought friend? Richard, neutral friend is the same. If you're asking me, is neutral friend the same as? Because don't forget, same as. Same as. That's usually that's the connection. Same as thought friend. I'm not sure what you mean by thought friend though. Do you mean through? Through the okay. Through a person. Okay, it depends on the context. For instance, I met John through I met Tim through I met Tim through Kate. If you say it like this, then yes. Kate is the neutral friend. Yes. Most of the time it's a neutral friend. Not always, because it could be a party. And at a party, people meet each other through one another, and they might not even know each other very well. But most of the time, yes, we can say a neutral friend is through someone. But this is make sure you get the spelling. So it's not thwart, it's through. So then you can say, I met Tim through Kate. I met John through Tim. I met Kate through Sarah, for example. That's how you can do it. For instance, at school, you can say, for instance, I met, let's see, I met Mandy through, well, no, yeah, I met Mandy at school, for example. I met Mandy through school. No, not so much that, actually. Through with a person. If it's a place like a school, it's more likely to be at. It's more likely to be at. I met her. You could say, for instance, I met her on a course. You could say that. I met her on a course. I met her in Malta. I met her at AM language, for example. You can do that. So we still need to think of our prepositions, but through a person, though. That's an important thing. I met them through a person. So that's something you need to remember. Through with the name of the person. I think that's a good way of presenting it. So guys, yeah, let me know. Let me know what your example is. Can you talk about someone you have met, and how did you meet them? How long have you known them? Feel free to try and give me some examples. I know some people in the chat section know each other, or might know each other, or know students that whereby I know them, and I know other students that they know. So let's see, Irina, how do you know Helen? I have known Helen since university. We first met at a general meeting of students. Then we walked a lot in the same. Then we worked a lot in the same company, and became close friends. So Irina, that's really good. There's just two things we need to change. We first met at a general meeting for students, a meeting, remember, meeting for students. Then we, now here, this is a confusion between worked and walked. Now, because you've got company, this means worked, okay? Worked a lot for, we worked a lot in the same company. So we worked a lot in the same company. We worked a lot for the same company. Both prepositions could be okay there. And then that would be a really good sentence. So, Irina, that's a really good attempt. Well done. That's a really good effort there. Well done. Okay, would anyone else like to have a go? Nadia, I've known Julia for a long time. We met at secondary school when we were 11 years old. We used to study together and we would often go out with other classmates. Really good. Excellent. You're just missing the S on classmates. Classmates, okay, because there would be more than one classmate. But other than that, Nadia, excellent sentence. That's a really, really good sentence. Well done. So, Irina, Nadia, well done. You've come up with some good stuff there. Let's see. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to have a go before we move on to the grammar, the next grammar bit? I am definitely, I'm pleased with what I can see so far. I would be interested to see if anyone else would like to have another go. I know that I'm sure some of you can come up with a good idea. Maybe you might want to talk about maybe one of your teachers. Maybe you want to talk about a friend, a close friend, a classmate. Let me know. And then we'll move on to the grammar, where we'll talk about expressing regret using the word wish as well. We still have, we're good for time as well. So I'll wait for one more person to try and have a go at doing this, and then I'll move on to the grammar. We've got Sandra here. Sandra, I met my husband at my company. First, we are colleagues. After a time, we fall in love. Ooh, really good effort, Sandra. Really good effort. First things first, you started off in the past simple, which is good. Now you need to stay in the past simple. So first we were. First we were colleagues. That's, what have I pressed? That's an important thing to remember. First we were colleagues. After a time we, and then after some time we fell in love. Remember, fell is the past of fall. So Sandra, really, really good effort. You just need to make sure you keep your verbs in the correct tense. Marcella, how do you know someone? I have known my best friend through. Ooh, don't forget through. No T at the end. Through my company. We first met when I was visiting her for job. When I was visiting her for job, we used to go coffee shop and talk about our life in general. Close, Marcella. You've got, what we can say here is we first met when I was, now if we're talking about visiting her for a job, that could be lots of different possibilities. So I'd need more context there. Were you interviewing her, for example? Were you visiting the company when I was visiting her for a job? Or visiting her at work, maybe? We used to go for a coffee. We used to go for coffee, actually. We used to go for coffee, and we would go shopping and talk about life, for example. Okay, so Maria, really good, Marcella, sorry, a really good effort, but I think we just need to change one or two things. I'm going to suggest another answer here at the beginning. So we first met when I visited the place where she worked. I'm going to assume that's what you mean. Okay, so that's what it would look like. We used to go for coffee, and we would go. Oh gosh, what have I done? I sorry, I really mucked that one up. So we'd go for coffee, and we would go shopping. Here we go. That's why I wrote in the wrong place. So we'd go shopping and talk about life. So here we go. We first met when I visited the place where she worked. There we go. That's the correct example. So, Marcella, this is how your sentence probably should read. So we first met when I visited the place where she worked. We used to go for coffee, and we would go shopping and talk about life. Okay. Then afterwards, we had Joaquin. I met Tony at surf school. I met him through John. We used to enjoy surfing in the sea. Yes, that's a good sentence. Well done, Joaquin. I have known Nadia for 3 months. We used to study together at AM Language. We would make some books exercises together. After a couple of days, I realized she worked at school as well. So that's a really good sentence, Andres. I'm just going to change one little thing about that sentence, and that is we would do exercises in the book together. Okay, so that's the one slight change we would have to make in all that, Andres, but very well done. Yusuf has written, I've known, don't forget, I've known, past participle. I've known York at job. I've known York at job. I've known York. Okay, no, here you would say, I know George through work. For instance, I know York, for instance, through work. If you're going to go with the present perfect, I have, you would say, I've known York. Then you need, I've known York for 3 months, for example. So there you need to give a time factor. First, he was my client, and then after some time, we were friends and fell in love. Oh, that's a lovely story. That's a nice story. Good second part of the sentence. York, I have known my wife since I was working in Catania in 2020. Don't forget, in plus year. We used to go walking to the sea. We used to go walking by the sea before we fell in love. We used to go walking, don't forget, walking by the sea. Okay, that's a lovely story. Thank you very much, guys. Good stuff. Okay. We will now move on to the next bit, which is to do with the grammar. How do we use wish? So, wish to talk about regret. Wish to talk about regret. So we've got some sentences from the listening, which we can't do. We've got this. I sometimes wish we'd Okay, now we'd here is we had stayed together, and I wish we hadn't split up. Now, to express, to talk about regret, about things in the past, okay, so we're using wish to talk about regret. So this is to do, we're talking in the past, okay? So past regret is what we're talking about. Past regret. We use wish plus had. We need had in some way. But in this case, it's usually going to be the past perfect, actually. To express regret about things that didn't happen. And this is the other thing. We're talking about things that did not happen. We're talking about things that didn't happen. But when we think about the past, we we uh, we think it would have been good if it happened. Okay, so you're talking about things that didn't happen. Didn't happen. We use wish to express regret about things about that didn't happen, but we didn't want to happen. Use okay. The other thing that we can use here is we do need the pronoun as well. Sometimes, if you're talking about people, so I wish we hadn't. For example, I wish they hadn't. We use what else here? So we've got the examples here. Actually, we've got I wish I had known about it. I wish I had met her before she left. And we can say, I wish they had told me earlier. Okay, so to give you a really good context, let's talk about COVID-19. We could say, for instance, I wish the virus had, here you can make a passive past. I wish the virus had been contained in, I wish the virus had been contained. I wish travel, for instance, had been stopped sooner. We could say, I wish John hadn't gone shopping because he is now sick, for example. So this is how we can talk about it. We're using wish plus maybe your subject plus present perfect. And that's the important thing to remember, okay? So you're using wish plus subject plus present perfect. Okay. So that was said before after the sentences. We won't look at 6 necessarily. I want to see if you guys can produce this language because we're going to run out of time. So let's have a go. Okay, I'm going to write a sentence and I want you guys to change it to talk about to use this structure. So for example, if I say, for example, oh, Nadia's come in already. I wish I had visited my family in May, but I can't because of the virus. Because of the virus. And then that would have been a perfect sentence. Because of the virus. But Nadia, other than that, that's a Very good sentence. Past perfect, Andres. Yes, past perfect. So I'm going to write a sentence, and then I'm going to show what the activity is, and then I'm going to leave it to you guys to see if you guys can produce this language. So I might say, for instance, I am sad that I am sad that I can't go to Italy because of the virus. Nope. You might say, using wish, I wish Italy hadn't been hit by the virus. Or I wish I had gone to Italy before the virus hit Italy, for example. So you've got that simple base language, and then we're using we are rewriting we are rewriting it using wish. So I'm now going to write another sentence, and this time I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Can you rewrite the sentence with wish? Okay. So I'm going to give you the context as well. Got a stomach ache. Okay. Shouldn't have had pizza. The cheese wasn't good. My stomach now hurts. Okay. So guys, you've eaten a bad pizza. Your stomach hurts. The situation is you have a stomach ache because the cheese did not agree with your stomach. So can you rewrite these three sentences? Can you try and reduce it to maybe one sentence? And can you use wish? Wish. Okay, we're going to try and talk about regret after eating something. Now, this happens an awful lot, especially if you have a sensitive stomach as well. So I'll give you guys the opportunity. Let's see what you guys write. Can you recreate this sentence using I wish I hadn't something, something, something? Okay. Let's see what you guys come up with. I mean, we can use this a lot. Food is actually a really good example, and drink. I mean, some people, they have a strong stomach. Some people, like me, I have a weak stomach. So I have to be careful with what I eat. Otherwise, I will end up regretting the food. Now, for instance, I really like pizza, but I know there are certain types of pizza which I cannot have because of the cheese. So I have to be careful. This is also the same with maybe some other types of food if you have food allergies. So let's see what you guys end up writing. Okay, so you have a stomach ache. You're telling yourself, oh, I shouldn't have had that pizza. The cheese wasn't good. Your stomach now hurts. How do you write that using wish to talk about regret? Let's see, who is the first person to try and rewrite this sentence? I wonder who it's going to be. Let's see. I mean, I can't really guess who's... Marcella's in. I wish I had finished my lessons before the virus hit the world. Yes. Now, it doesn't answer the question I had written, but that is still a good answer. That is still a good answer in terms of what we're looking at. So, Marcella, that doesn't answer the question that I've gone for, but nonetheless, Marcella, I'm very happy with that sentence. So well done, Marcella. That is a perfect sentence to express regret in terms of your lessons and the virus. So well done there. Nadia, I wish I hadn't eaten the pizza because I think that's meant to be because I now feel sick. Okay, Nadia? Yes. Because I now feel sick. Okay. With the exception of that, Nadia, yes, that would have been a very good sentence because I now feel sick. Okay, so well done. That's a good example, and I like the emoji as well. Rosa, I wish I hadn't have money for this pizza. I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't had money for the pizza delivery. To be more precise, Rosa. So you want to say, I wish I hadn't had, because you need to go with the past. Hadn't had. You need to go with the past perfect. I hadn't had money for for this pizza delivery. Okay. And delivery. Okay. Arena, I wish to speak English fluently. It makes my work easy. However, I hadn't good teachers at school in my childhood. For this, I and was lazy for self-study. Okay, Arena, let's try write that again. This time I want you to use the structure though. I wish I had, I mean, you could use I wish I had something. So you could start off your sentence with I wish I had um, been here. You want to go with the past perfect as well. So you could go with the passive here, Arena. I wish I had been taught better at school. I wish I had been taught English uh, properly at school. For example, you could start off with that. So try and rewrite that sentence for me, Irina. Try and rewrite that sentence. But that's how you want to start. You want to start off with the past perfect passive. I wish I had been taught English properly at school. And then you go into explain why. Okay? Have a go at rewriting your sentence, Irina. It's quite a difficult one. Let's see. Andres, you had written something and then deleted it. I'm interested to see what you want to come out with. Let me know. Let's see if would anyone else like to have a go. Okay, Joaquin. I wish I hadn't eaten cheese pizza because now I have a stomachache. My stomach doesn't accept dairy. Okay, so what you want to say is, I wish I hadn't eaten. Um, Now, here you're talking about the cheese that's on the pizza. Now, this is going to be. You could to say this. You could turn cheese into. I wish I hadn't eaten the cheese on the pizza. That's all you needed to do. Other than that, Joaquin, that's a perfect sentence. That's nearly perfect. If you just change it to the cheese on the pizza, that would be a very, very good. That would be a very good sentence. So well done there, Jorge. Jorge. I wish I had avoided the temptation to eat the worst hamburger I ever. Ooh, you're so close. It just comes down to the last section. Now, if you use ever, I have ever. You're going to have to turn this into a present perfect. I have ever eaten. Okay, so Jorge, you just need to finish off with I have ever eaten. Okay. Yeah, if you use ever, you need the present. You need have plus ever plus past participle. That's how you use it. Participle. Okay. Arena, thank you very much for coming back. I wish I had spoken English, but I hadn't good English lessons in my childhood. Is it correct? That's much better. The first part, I wish I had spoken English. Yes, but here, because you've gone in with the past perfect, you don't need to continue with this. And here, the thing is, you're not creating a past perfect. It looks like it's going to be a past perfect, but it isn't. Which is why you can just go with a simple past simple, which is, but I didn't. Here, I think you want to say, but I didn't have good English lessons. But I didn't have good English. What am I saying? English lessons. Then that would be correct. But I didn't have good English lessons in my childhood. That would then be a very good sentence. So, Irina, much, much better. The first part of your sentence is much better. Very well done. Second part, just leave it in the past simple, the negative past simple. That would be the better option. Okay, guys, I am impressed. You guys are really trying hard. This is not easy English, by the way. This is not easy. You're now on Unit 12 of Intermediate. This is where you're now entering higher intermediate stage. So this is not simple language, but you're all doing very, very well. Let's see. Nadia, thank you very much, Richard. Oh, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, guys, I'm going to finish off with an incomplete example, and I want you guys to try and finish the example for me. So, my example is this. Okay, I wish I okay. Let's see. This is the sentence. I wish I something gone to South Africa because my flight home was something and I am now stuck in Cape Town. Stuck, obviously, I can't move. Cape Town is a part of South Africa. So let's see who the first person is to complete this. Remember, you want wish plus the past perfect. And you will see that there is a past passive, simple passive in there. So let's see who the first person is to complete this sentence, to get it right. I wonder who the first person will be to complete this. Okay. Okay, Andres has come in, Nadia has come in. So, Andres, I wish I hadn't gone to South Africa because my flight home was cancelled and I am now stuck in Cape Town. Nadia has also said hadn't and cancelled. So, well done. Those are the correct answers. I'm just going to say this, by the way. UK English, cancelled, is double L. A bit like travelled. In the UK English, anyway, we put double L. American English, actually, that's a good question. I think in American English, it might just be one L. But UK English, definitely double L. Marcella, I wish I hadn't, don't forget the N, I hadn't gone to South Africa because my flight home was cancelled, and I am now stuck in Cape Town. Okay, Marcelo, well done, very good. Just check your typing before you send, but very well done. I can see that you understood and you actually got what you got the correct answers there. Just check your typing. Yiseth, I wish I hadn't gone to South Africa because my flight home was cancelled and I am now stuck in Cape Town. Excellent, well done. Rosa, hadn't cancelled. Yes, Arena, hadn't cancelled. Well done. Well done, everyone. I'm really happy with that. Good work. It's quite difficult, English, but I'm really pleased to see how you guys have developed. So well done, all of you. You must have been thinking, you must have been all concentrating very hard, and I'm happy to see such fantastic interaction in the live chat section. So really well done for all of you. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined in today to watch the lesson. So thank you to everyone who's watched the lesson today. Really appreciate it. For those of you who participated in the live chat section, thank you very much. There's so many of you. I'm not going to go through each and every one of you, thanking you all individually, but I would like to thank you guys for participating in the live chat section and trying to write to try and give your sentences. It's really good and it's very brave of you to write, but whenever you do write, it's the best way for me to help you because I can then see what you're doing and you get feedback as well. So please like the video and share. Now tomorrow 10 o'clock in the morning, we've got the Up Intermediate and IELTS and Advanced class. Then at 2 o'clock, we've got a speaking YouTube video, 45 minutes or so, which is going to concentrate on how you can, language you can develop when speaking for job interviews. And then there will be another lesson at 4 o'clock, which is to do with how to write emails when you are applying for jobs, okay? Please also check your emails over the coming 24 hours because you should be receiving emails regarding your lesson, your Zoom lesson times as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. It's a lovely day outside. I am now going to, in about half an hour, I'm going to go onto my terrace to do some exercise because I need to do some exercise. I mean, to be honest with you, I need to do exercise in preparation for Friday because Friday evening for me is pizza evening. I think it's becoming a bit of a tradition. Friday evenings, myself and a cousin of mine, it's a bit like Joey and Friends. We like to make sure that once a week we have a pizza. Now it's Good Friday tomorrow, so we're just going to have a plain margarita pizza, but plain margarita pizza followed by maybe a bit of Call of Duty and a film. I am thinking probably a classic film like Rambo. At the moment, I really like I'm really into my older films, like in the 80s and early 90s. They're just so entertaining to watch. They don't try to be anything they're not. They're not trying to be really realistic. They're just entertaining. And the likes of like Sylvester Stallone, for example, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, no one can take them seriously, but they're so enjoyable to watch. So I wish all of you a very good evening, and I will see some of you, hopefully all of you, at some point tomorrow with the lesson. So have a lovely evening, everyone. Enjoy the sun if you can, and see you guys tomorrow. Take care, keep well, and chat tomorrow. Bye for now.